over the weekend, I don't know if you saw this, that there was a sellout crowd at the Valley for Charlton Athletics Ground, the Valley, which has got a capacity of 27,111, and it was YouTubers that sold it out. It was Logan Paul, KSI, along with other social media stars, competing in the Sidemen charity football match on Saturday. The British YouTube group raised £1 million for charity, be split between 4 charities involved. Crawley Town sent scouts to look at players just in case they might want to sign one. Would it be an embarrassment for a football club to sign a YouTuber and put them on their wage bill, or would it be a good PR thing for the club?
I think Simon should answer that.
Would it be either? I mean, I realise we're probably going into the area of technology, and Graham's not in that curve. Very interesting to read your column over the weekend, talking about taking Jack Grealish out for dinner. Why would you think he'd want to go for a dinner and dance or whatever you do at your stage in life?
He suggested it first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's also come back to you and said that he will go for dinner with you as long as he can take Pogba as a +1.
He can bring who he wants. He can bring Pogba's brother as well if he wants. As long as he...
would you do the Lombardo or Foxtrot together?
I get to choose
That's
a
your
wine.
generation, isn't it?
I get to choose a restaurant and the wine, and he pays the bill.
Fair enough. I'm sure he'll probably take you up on that.
Going to the question of whether it would be... I'm not entirely sure what would be embarrassing. If there's a player and someone recruits him and he turns out to be a player, what's embarrassing about that?
Well, if he doesn't turn out to be a player?
Well, then...
Which is
have you never signed players that have not worked out?
Yeah, but you're signing them because you think he's going to be a player. I mean, this has been a great cause. They raised £1 million for charity.
Indeed.
All for it. Fantastic.
So you don't want me to answer this question then?
Yeah, well, I was waiting for you to say something interesting. And I saw you were struggling, so I've jumped in here. I think if you're a football club, what's the gain? You know, you're going to have someone on your books that doesn't play, that his power as an influencer would diminish if you're not.
But you're not
going
to sign somebody on the basis of a YouTube.
They signed Mark Wright which was part of a documentary thing for him
that's
coming
a whole
through.
Different
and
dynamic.
He played for Crawley Town.
I get that, and that is what it is, right? But if we're trying to build up a narrative that you sign a player, you wouldn't sign a player on a basis of a charity game. You might have a look at him. You might say, "Tell you what, you can come down and have a run around with us and see what we think of you." And we might see something about you. We may not see something about you. Players go on trial all the time, even more so at lesser football clubs.
Which is what happened with Mark Wright, really.
Which is what happened with Mark Wright. And, whatever that was is whatever that was. But in this instance, I find the YouTube world something that I don't particularly enjoy, but I understand its place and space in the world and the power and influence that it has. If you look at the dynamics of what these kids are doing, these Jake Paul and Logan Pauls, and the economic might that they are creating for themselves in this generational proposition of YouTubing, and there's a lot of conventional and linear broadcasters that look at YouTubers and go, not for me, they're a little bit snooty. It is here. It is an influencing tool. It's about how it's utilised and the substance of it. I'm not in the camp that watching Jake Paul. Was it Jake that fought Floyd Mayweather? Was it Jake? I think it was. I'm not in that.
Jake or Logan?
Whoever it was. I'm not in the. I find that dispiriting because it's not a real fight. It's a choreographed event, and a YouTuber fighting against a legend of boxing. I don't know why.
Did he fight him, or does he want to fight him?
No,
he fights him because he gets paid enormous amounts of money.
Did he fight him?
Yeah, but he gets paid.
Logan Paul,
enormous amounts of money, and that's what the YouTube generation are generating is. And it seems to me you can put anything on YouTube of no real significance in the world, and people get paid enormous amounts of money for it.
That is definitely true.
But that is the generation that we're amongst, and that is the opportunity that exists. Now, whether I would want to advertise, I'm not entirely sure why I'd want to advertise this. If I wanted to send a scout down to watch a particular match, then I wouldn't be necessarily telling the media that I was sending a scout down to watch a game between
it's probably
YouTubers.
a PR exercise, right? It's probably something just to sort of grab a little bit of attention.
Well, look at the owners of Crawley. They are crypto guys, right?
Yeah, they're crypto guys. They're using different sort of bits of technologies, trying to advance their cause. They know they're a small club. They want to expand the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something and nothing in it. It's a charity game that's generated first of all, it's generated 27,000 people that are prepared to go to Charlton. I mean, I'd have difficulty wanting to go to Charlton under any auspice. But the bottom line is 27,000 people have gone there wanting to watch a charity football match. It's raised a lot of money for a cause, and it's an interesting evolution. What do we learn from that? What have we learned from boxing? What has football? What have you learned from boxing? You can put something on it. You can dress it up. It's the Emperor's New Clothes.
I think what we've learned from it, from the YouTube situation with the boxing,
you can get paid a lot of money for it.
Is that if you're popular, whatever guise you're in, then you sell tickets, then you put bums on seats, then you get eyeballs. And
If you're
it's
prepared-
about the characters that you develop over a period of
people
time.
are prepared to
and
pay,
sport can learn from
if
that.
people are prepared to pay for something that isn't the real McCoy and value it, that's their business. What someone looks at and what they value is entirely up to them. It's the advertisers' revenue that drives YouTube. It's those things that are of value to the digital marketplace. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. It's just another evolution, isn't it?
Going back round to what Graham was saying a little bit earlier on, it almost lends itself to the analogy that actually brand and character and personality sometimes are more important than sporting ability. And I bring you back to your Pogba and Grealish dinner that you're going to have. Are their brands bigger than their actual ability?
Well, Paul Pogba, and what he showed us in his time in English football, that is certainly the case. His brand is far better than what he showed on the football pitch. Didn't perform. Found it too difficult. In our football. So in that case, well, Man United signed him. I'm sure they may have even made money out of him because of the amount of followers he has and the interest he would be to potential companies. But is that the world we live in now? I think, unfortunately, it is.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.